Win free airtime with hashtag #LearnOn1. Share your comments on the lessons. SMS your feedback, name and town to 555. Hashtag #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening, I'm Maggie Forciguero. In the news tonight, Sun and NANSO disapprove of NASFAV mass publication of loan defaulters. Mixed Settlement welcomes first primary school. World leaders continue debate on how to make global progress on climate change. Retired healthcare worker takes on farming. And Roundup, Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports and the weather. Student bodies NANSO and SUN have come out against the exposing of student loan defaulters by the Namibia Student Financial Assistance Fund, stating that the action thereof is an intimidation tactic by the fund and in breach of privacy. The student leaders further call on the fund to take heed of the head of state's call that no student should graduate in debt.
The Student Union of Namibia and the Namibia National Students Organization have expressed disapproval of the mass publication of loan defaulters in local newspapers by the Namibia Students Financial Assistance Fund, which the Student Union of Namibia has indicated to take legal action against.
But that they want to have a mass publication of loan defaulters' names in national newspapers. I think we found that to be unwarranted, a breach of confidence as well as privacy. And we also felt that it is going to basically just be an anxiety-inducing situation even for prospective loan holders who will then also now be applying for loans with the thought that, okay, if I'm unable to pay for this loan, to pay back this loan after my 4 years of studying at university, then I will also expect to see my name in the newspaper. So we think that that is disregarding to the right of dignity that the students have, and we are not in support of it at all. And likewise, in alignment or rather guided by NANSO's Resolution 16, which says that we are really rallying behind free tertiary education, the abolishment of registration fees, as well as the cancellation of student debts. So guided by that resolution, really as an organization, our stance is that we do not support it. In fact, we strongly condemn it, and we think, quite frankly, that it seems to be an intimidation tactic and a method or a means of trying to really coerce people into the repayment of those loans, and we think that that is not correct. And we, as an organization, we really do not support it at all.
We consult our legal mind, we consult the fairest lawyers. They give us direction that we are going to challenge NASFAV. If NASFAV publishes those names in the local newspaper, we are going to take NASFAV from the court. I remember 2015 when Excellency Hage Kinkup came, in making an announcement, even in local newspaper and media, that all student loans should be turning into grants. According to this, when we see the thing is going out of hand, we don't know whether the statement that was done by Excellency Hage Kinkup was a political statement, or maybe Kennedy Kandome is the one ignoring a call from a president, Excellency Hage Kinkup. Remember, until now, students never get anything. We have a lot of students that we are more than 20 students that never got even full tuition tuition fee is not be paid, non-tuition fee is not be paid. We have students that were doing online. You know, the institution is doing face-to-face examination, other one they are doing online examination.
The student organizations further state that many NS5 loan holders who have graduated are currently unemployed, and those that are underpaid and unable to repay. They thus ask the fund to look into other options of recovering the loans.
But our Resolution 16 does not actually encourage the repayment of loans, and we look rather, or we advocate and encourage and urge NS5 as well as other stakeholders that are involved in student funding from state coffers to really look into other viable alternatives towards sustainably running themselves while not requiring students to actually repay these loans back. And as for the communication, I think really looking into the resolution that I just mentioned, I don't think there has been that communication between NANSO and students to say, okay, colleagues, let's perhaps look towards the repayment of loans, because then that would be counterproductive to the resolution that we've already put out, and we would be contradicting ourselves in that regard.
Trainees that is coming from vocational training, where are they now? There are some of people that are selling in the bar, some they are selling in the retailer shop. That is people where people currently working, they are underpaid. Therefore that we said, NASA should take a serious of the call that Excellency Hage Kenkop said that no student should be graduating in debt. All student loans should be trained into grant. We are not going to ignore that one. We are also calling to Excellency Hage Kenkop to come out clearly if the statement that was made is coming from his heart or was a political statement.
Since being contacted for comment last week Thursday, NSFAF is yet to give a response. The fund's acting chief executive officer in a recent interview with Business on One indicated that the fund, which is fully reliant on government for funding, is owed 5 billion, of which 2.8 billion is owed by beneficiaries who are currently employed.
Hi there, parents. Do you have primary school kids and want them to get extra quality supplementary lessons to up their grades? Then simply switch to One Africa TV's #LearnOnOne, where your kids can get maths, English and science lessons every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. And thanks to NMH's MyZone, these lessons are 100% Namibian. There's so much to learn with #LearnOnOne. Invite learning in.
Oraniamund, established in 1936, from which point onwards CDM, now Namdeb Diamond Corporation, provided every service, the schooling, infrastructure and entertainment required for the people of the town. The winds of change is blowing over Oraniamund, which is no longer a closed town.
This ship was commandeered by King James III, and he actually sent a knight to Spain to go and fetch some money from investors, because they wanted to go and fetch some spices in India.
When we were kids, the mine delivered milk, bread, and black paper, black plastic bags for your rubbish, and cleaned your garden. Did the maintenance of your house. You had furniture already installed in your house.
Located 20 kilometers north of Windhoek, the mixed informal settlement has a population of about 3,000 inhabitants. As part of efforts to bring development closer to the people, the city of Windhoek and the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture are building the first school for the settlement.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Tengono asofikola ya mukatiketu yasotunu na afikola ke kule katushine kucho pena gere jingapi pena gere jiwa okinda no gere jiwa no gere jifiri yo kanga komesilo pena ike gere jiji pedo Ameneka pa 5 angula. Poya vole ya kaade taxi vi haevi ya kuthamuka kuyafala kwa Venduka. Ase thimbo limwe uno uli utano awuzime gumbo limwe imaliwa ng'ampya kehe kamwe keno kakufa chimaliwa monjato kafutira taxi kacha kuthapo icho nkundu
shashishiri mungashimbo lukandale tulamikisha wa munada litamuni kuna komingo fikola kufutira uno na shoshiri onumwe ihalongo asitra keleke nukuni bae ilono kapana kai momo takufoka filinga kaita afutira kana ka taxi kai ko fikola ko Venduka marja tu pandula shi ya fikola o ilipo pepi kuna nande tere kuna na badaliwa kwetu kai pepi mbalo utalala ulo na wayo ngula ufiku maruni makalungo tabaka takaike takacheni na ndo mango ina kida kaka pora ndo kaima kakumbafa itakende na ta unne kukakunya kwa kule kunya takende kadewa ko mepe ngula oshira hapo ni huna na wino nabo mix.
The mixed settlement is one of the informal settlements that lack services such as schools, electricity, clinics, and a police station. This year, the first school is being built by the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture and the City of Windhoek in the settlement. The former mayor of the City of Windhoek, Francina Kahungu, said that there is a need for a school in the settlement as many children from the location have to travel a long distance to go to school in the city center, adding that this will lift the burden of parents having to spend money on transport.
Mixed settlement residents have been crying for services such as schools, clinic, and also mobile police station. We are thankful that at least now we can see the school. And by indication, this you can clearly see that come the year 2022, the school will be open to all school-going children here. From the information from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, the school will be first just a primary school. And there later on, extension will be made. Parents and learners have been suffering for a long time because many children are going to school there at the city center of Windhoek. So the nearest school, you can call it, they used to go to Bethel, they used to take their children to Tobias, Dr. Franz Aupa Indongo School, and many other schools in Tobias Hainyoko constituency and Moses Garweb constituency too in Katutura East.
Kahungu further said that the settlement will see improvement on development with projects in the pipeline such as sewage and drainage system.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Enjoy these fantastic payday savings at Clicks until 4 November. Buy Clicks 2-ply toilet paper 18 rolls, $89.99 per pack. Buy Pampers Premium Care Pants or Disposable Nappies Value Pack, $241.99 per pack. Buy Nivea Body Lotion and Cream 400 mils 2 for $82. And buy Protex Soap 200 grams 3 for $36. Clicks, feel good, pay less.
Win free airtime with #LearnOn1. Share your comments on the lessons. SMS your feedback, name and town to 555. #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
With 3 days of this year's COP26 summit underway in Glasgow, Scotland, there will be a frequent reminder over the next couple of days of what the world stands to lose if leaders fail to find real climate solutions. The aim is to keep global temperature rise in the century well below 2 degrees Celsius and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further to 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Limiting net emissions to zero is vital in balancing global temperatures, according to climate experts. However, leaders are worried we might be going off course.
We know what the scientists tell us, and we have learned not to ignore them. 2 degrees more and we jeopardize the food supply for hundreds of millions of people as crops wither, locusts swarm. 3 degrees. And you can add more wildfires and cyclones, twice as many, 5 times as many droughts, and 36 times as many heat waves. 4 degrees, and we say goodbye to whole cities.
Our addiction to fossil fuels is pushing humanity to the brink. We face a stark choice. Either we stop it, or it stops us. And it's time to say, enough.
During the opening days, the spotlight will be on more than 120 world leaders. Countries' plans to limit emissions as of 2030 should be in line with the global target of reaching net zero. To achieve this, according to experts, country leaders should phase out coal as quickly as possible, reduce deforestation, and accelerate the switch to electric cars, amongst others.
One of the objectives of COP26 is to reach net zero by mid-century for the whole world. We can move to electric cars. We can stop using fossil fuels. Everything we do, I mean, all the lights, the cameras in the studio, the mics, everything depends on electricity, and it's how that electricity is generated which causes climate change.
There is a constant reminder of what's at stake. The decisions that will emerge at the end of the summit will determine the Earth's fate.
Every day we see that when we look after the trees, they look after us. But these trees and the life-saving fruit they bear will not survive on a 2.7 degrees Celsius warmer planet. The decisions you make here will help determine whether the rains will return to our land. The decisions you make here will help determine whether the fruit trees we plant will live or perish. The decisions you make here will help determine whether children will have food and water.
There are reports of petroleum companies still in pursuit of oil in some parts of the world. In Namibia, the apparent presence of oil in the Okavango basins attracted a foreign oil and gas company. Reports say many locals in the area had to relocate to make way for drilling. Activists held protests and hearings out of fear of what might happen to the environment. However, the drilling activity continues despite the locals' frantic efforts to stop the oil company.
Molly Mulife is a retired nurse who now runs a small green produce farming project about 60 kilometers from Katima Mulilo. She specializes in fruit, vegetables, as well as some chickens for egg production.
In 2011, Molly Mulife started a small gardening project near her house before she retired. After receiving support from the local community as they purchased more of her veggies, she decided to extend her garden with additional grape and apple trees. These trees, she said, also provide shade to the vegetables.
This is my garden, my small garden, but when I started with the small one at the back of the house. Then I saw that it was too small. Then I extended to this area. And since I saw that now the demand from the community was large, I decided to go to make another one outside the western side, but in the same village. I had 296 heads of cabbage here. So after selling, then I decided, let me put something here. That's when I put this maize. This is the ZM11. It was just for a sample, which I want to see if it can grow well. And if it can grow well, that's when I can go and buy. It was just a sample I was given. It was a handout given to me by Humble Bee, the suppliers of the seeds.
Mulife has an egg incubator that can take up to 200 eggs at a time. In 2014, she acquired 5 hectares of land where she keeps livestock and chickens, as well as housing for the workers.
All the chicken I'm having, they are from this incubator. And if I want to slaughter some chicken, I put them in this incubator, the big incubator, so that I can be selling to the people. Currently now there are no eggs. I stopped them from laying by giving them a different type of feeds. So since I'm still busy with other things, I'll start again when I'll see that those ones they are minimized. Currently it is helping me a lot, this incubator.
The garden gets water from NamWater, but she complained that the bill is often high, even though she gets enough from her produce to cover operational costs. Earlier this year, she was fortunate to benefit from the Pitch for Resilience initiative under the GIZ after they gave her an irrigation system.
At Spar, we worked hard to get you low prices on great products every day. Like Brooks Oros Squash for only $29.99 and Bacoma Wheat Bix for just $39.99. It's low prices for you every day at Spar.
Thank you, One Africa TV, for changing lives and improving lives for the better. Happy 18th birthday.
In other leading stories, the Namibian Statistics Agency released a publication that looked into the country's trade for the month of September 2021. According to the report, Namibia's total merchandise trade amounted to $17.5 billion, a decline of 5.5% and 10% when compared to the level of $18.5 billion and $19.5 billion recorded in August 2021 and September 2020 respectively. However, the bulletin shows that the country's trade balance remained in a deficit, surging to $3.1 billion from $2.9 billion recorded in August 2021 and $1.6 billion in September 2020. In terms of trade partners, China emerged as Namibia's largest market for exports, whereas South Africa maintained her position as the largest import market for the country. The composition of the export basket mainly comprised minerals such as copper, precious stones such as diamonds, non-monetary gold, petroleum oils and fuels. Fish remained the only non-mineral product among the top 5 exports. On the import side, copper, petrol and oils and fuels, ships, boats and floating structures.
You've got to be anything, you should be everything. Strength provider, the architect of every ring. Experience Penny L, see the face of God and live. And I dream it to God working. I pray to God for my enemy. Why you ready? Why you baby? Why not baby? Insta baby, Insta baby, Insta baby. Why you shake what your mama gave ya. Everybody move what your mama gave ya. Everybody shake what your mama gave ya. Everybody move, yet lost fact.
You are now watching the V10 Countdown.
Joseph Shifeni is standing by for this evening's edition of Business on One.
Welcome to this evening's edition of Business on One. I'm Joseph Shifeni. Namibia's first privately owned scheduled passenger airline, Fly West Air, has been rebranded to Fly Namibia at a launch attended by industry players and officiated by Vice President Nangolo Mbumba, who noted that the ultimate goal for the government is to create a conducive environment wherein private sector investment such as West Air Aviation can flourish to grow the economy and create the needed employment.
To unlock similar opportunities to stimulate our economy and to create sustainable employment. I want to, in particular, stress the matter of current unsustainable levels of youth unemployment and implore on Fly Namibia and all other Namibian companies to devise focused strategies to collaboratively address the national challenge of youth unemployment. Ladies and gentlemen, transport infrastructure and services remain crucial for generating economic growth, alleviating poverty, reducing the scourge of inequality, and increasing domestic and international competition in Namibia.
Aiming to grow and develop aviation in Namibia, West Air Aviation has also launched a bursary scheme that will train aviation professionals for the future and provide students with exposure to all aspects of the industry whilst receiving specialized training to become aircraft engineers, aircrew, and ground support personnel, which will kick off next year.
When I was a young boy, I was dreaming of becoming an engineer. West, I started as a cleaner, sweeping the hangars, cleaning the aircraft. At West, I'm an engineer, aircraft engineer.
They've also assisted with providing me with the needed courses and training that I need to continue on in this field.
When I started at Wester, the progression, not just aircraft for pilot-wise, but also for myself in management role, it's really a business and a company where if you do bring your side, you're definitely gonna, be able to climb the ladder, and I think I'm pretty much a really good example of that, for starting just as a normal pilot and ending up as director of operations, accountable manager, and also owner of West Air. So and that was just hard work over 10 years.
West Air Aviation Chief Executive Officer Henry van Skalkwyk says their policy has always been to reinvest into Namibia, with the core responsibility being the development of aviation in the country.
West Air Aviation has always had a policy of reinvesting into Namibia. We see the development of aviation in Namibia as one of our core responsibilities. This policy has transpired in every facet of our business. Core of aviation, and that's for any industry, is human skills and skills development. That is also something that has been core to one of the foundations of West Air Aviation long before I've been involved. We've also always had an eye for potential, people that show very good potential, that want to grow, and we never hold people back.
Fly Namibia will continue operating both regional and international routes, with new destinations on the horizon. These include the regional routes between Eros Airport, Windhoek and Ondangwa, Rundu and Katima Molilo, as well as the international route between Hosea Kutako International Airport and Cape Town International. Thank you for watching. Join me again next time, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Tuyadha otuli pamwe nangoe mompombo ya mainyanyudho ote ea mukuru okuzangenea toterwe mombo omaovigali hupeigiali omrunga radio ogwakala nokukundaneka okunyanyudha nokuyakuroshigwana omrunga radio yotango monamibia.
Are you a CMAS member? Did you know that should you need medical treatment, you have access to quality private hospitalization, guaranteed specialist treatment in private hospitals across Namibia with Compliment Gap? Compliment Gap is a complimentary product for CMAS members only, which covers the shortfall between what CMAS pays and private hospitals charge. You and your family have more than 2 million in medical gap cover per year at a very affordable price. That's not all. You also have access to emergency evacuation within Namibia and $10 million international travel cover for those unforeseen events abroad. Take the financial burden off your shoulders. Invest in your family's health. SMS GAP to 999 555 and we'll contact you. Terms and conditions apply.
Time now for Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. The incident in which a 5-year-old girl allegedly fell victim to rape raises serious concern amongst many locals, especially in Katatura. What's more worrisome is the fact that no one has been arrested yet, according to reports. Malishan says a background check should be done on the daycare. Shirley suggests that a DNA test be conducted. Hendrina blames the teachers, adding that they are careless. While Bridget advises to watch the behavior in children, adding that boys are at risks too. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast only on Today on One.
At Spar, we worked hard to get you low prices on great products every day. Like Sunlight hand washing powder for only $59.99 and Spa margarine brick, buy 2 for just $31. It's low prices for you every day at Spar.
Fresh FM, young hearts, fresh beats.
Time now for Sports on One with Castro Ulumbu.
Welcome and thank you for joining me, Castro Ulumbu, for this evening's edition of Sports on One. Despite qualifying and putting up an impressive start at the Super 12 round against Scotland, winning by 4 wickets, the Eagles of Namibia faced tougher opponents Afghanistan and Pakistan, losing by 64 and 45 runs respectively. Today on One Sports has more on this story. In a post-match interview following their loss against Pakistan, captain of the Namibia senior men's cricket team Gerard Erasmus admitted that going into the game was going to be difficult, but applauded fellow players for a great performance against the tournament favourites.
Obviously we knew from the start that Pakistan have high quality players. They're an informed team in the tournament. They look like serious title contenders, if I can be fair, and yeah, we knew we were going to have to, really compete hard, and I thought we've done that for quite a while. We spoke about, competing for longer and being better for longer periods. trying to be better for that fourth ball in a row, and then resetting and going again for the next over. So I thought after 11, Pakistan were outstanding with their shot selection, and the quality shown through the back ends of the innings. It doesn't get any easier. New Zealand, the quality side, and we're up against them at Sharjah, so at least we can take some great confidence from this match that we can compete at the highest level and take that game as deep as we can. We'll certainly be out and in there to get some, great exposure again for all our players, and it just shows that the more exposure that you get, the the more confident you feel on the day. And obviously we haven't played too many games at this level, but with this exposure, it shows that we can operate at that level.
Despite facing the two cricket giants, New Zealand and India, in their final two games, Eagles national head coach Pierre de Bruin, in his post-match conference after the loss against Pakistan, noted that his aim is to win, adding that his team is in high spirits going into both games following their great performance against Pakistan. The Eagles head coach also touched on his World Cup experience so far.
We're going in to win cricket games, first of all. But we also know that it's two great cricket teams that we're facing, and they've got their own agenda in how they need to win cricket games and not lose cricket games, especially not against Namibia. We're focusing on ourselves. We're learning so much with this experience. We've learned so much tonight. I thought it was a very good. It was an excellent performance by the Namibian team with bat and with ball. We know what's coming, India and New Zealand, and they need to win properly to make the final stages. It's enormous. I said it many times in the media that, what it means for people back home in Namibia itself, for young kids. I read something yesterday in the news that Pakistan has got almost 3,000 clubs. Namibia's got 5. And, it's for us, it's just such a nice story. And I felt that, the guys and every Namibian supporter can be very proud of that team and how they performed tonight against an absolute world-class team. The lessons we've learned, we will take with us. We played 40 overs of cricket. And there were stages where we tested them. After 10 overs, they had 59 runs on the board. We will take everything with us. It's gold dust experience and information that we need to grow as a team. So we're very pleased with that performance. I think it's been an amazing performance. That's just my opinion. We want to win cricket games, and sometimes you've got to be realistic. I thought against Afghanistan we were a little bit soft in certain areas, the way we lost our wickets. We did a decent job with the ball, restricting them to 160. But, we beat Scotland. We had to beat Ireland and Netherlands to get to this stage. So in terms of how successful this tournament has been for us, has been excellent.
The Eagles will next face tournament favourites New Zealand on Friday the 5th of November and round up their Super 12 round matches against India on Monday the 8th of November. And that is all we have for you tonight. Join us again tomorrow for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Thanks a lot, Castro. Time now for the weather forecast.
A look at the weather forecast. The interior partly cloudy and hot to very hot with a few thunder showers in the Zambezi region in places. Windy weather will persist in the interior in places. The coast partly cloudy and cool with fog patches in the morning. Dust storms are most likely in the south. The wind light to fresh southwesterly at first, becoming strong in the south later. Now a look at the minimum and maximum temperatures around the country and beyond.
That is all we have for you. Do join us again for a repeat at 9:30, 6 a.m. and the Omnibus on Saturdays from 9 to 2. From me, Maggie Forciero, till next time, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUF for life. We are IUF.
Prevention is important. Help prevent the spread of illness and keep yourself and others well. Hand washing is one of the most effective ways of preventing the spread of germs. Wash your hands regularly with soap and hot water, scrubbing your hands thoroughly for at least 20 seconds. Hand sanitizers can be used but are not recommended as a substitute for hand washing. Use sanitizers in addition to hand washing or in a situation where soap and water are not available. To avoid spreading germs, limit sharing of personal items such as utensils, cups, and dishes. Your skin acts as a barrier to germs, but your eyes, nose, and mouth are more vulnerable. Wash your hands thoroughly before touching your face, eating, or drinking. Avoid physical contact with others, including handshakes, fist bumps, high fives, hugs, and kisses. Social distancing is deliberately increasing the physical space between people to avoid spreading germs. While regulations may vary by country or area, the best guideline for social distancing is to maintain a distance of 6 feet from others. Germs can travel through the air from one person to another. If you sneeze or cough, do so into a tissue or the inside of your elbow to prevent the spread of germs. Avoid contact with ill individuals and insist they isolate themselves until they have recovered and are symptom-free. Clean and sanitize frequently touched common surfaces and high-traffic areas in your home and workplace several times a day. Share these guidelines with others and help prevent the spread of illness and maintain a healthy environment. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure.
God said, it's interesting to see if we have a look at John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In other words, what I see drives me to go out what I say. And I believe this is the goal of our Bible school, to teach me to see. And I dare to say what you see must change your heart. Because you cannot move out if you don't have a changed heart. By the word of God, everything is created. God wants you to speak the word so that things can be created. Say to your neighbor, created.
We know the world is a crazy place right now, but don't panic. Take a breath, slow down, or better yet, stop completely. We'll still be here when everything settles down. In this time of uncertainty, look to nature. She has all the answers, you know. We're not only giving ourselves time to reset, we're giving nature time to restore, revive, restart. We're saving ourselves and we're saving the world. Stay home now so that we can welcome you to Namibia again soon. Yes, the world's a crazy place right now, but don't despair. Find the joy, cherish hope, breathe. Take a moment, take a few, and someday soon you'll once again be able to stay in wonder at this magnificent view. The world's a crazy place right now, but don't worry, we'll still be here. We'll see you again soon.
Dink jy sy het nog steeds abandonment issues?
Is moontlik.
Ons moeite met die sprokies. Ek probeer so hard om my kind gelukkig te maak, maar ek kry dit nie reg nie.
Probeer net help, dis al.
Jy doen niks sonder bymotiewe nie.
So jy hou van die tattoo?
Nee. Maar jy kan nie liefde koop nie. En beslis nie myne nie.
Jy regular.
Am I that predictable?
Jy is 'n gereelde klant en ons net soveel maniere om koffie te drink.
How do you like your coffee?
Gewoonlik swart sonder suiker.
Does black and bitter only pertain to your coffee preference?
Ek hou maar net van my koffie sonder melk.
Hoe gaan ek 'n bal raak slaan na 2 glase wyn?
That was part of my plan.
Wat? Om 'n tipsie te maak sodat jy kan wen.
I'm terrible at papa.
In a corner of southern Africa lies a vast and sparse land, where endless horizons, dramatic scenery, and untouched wilderness abound. (1,500 kilometers of harsh desert coastline, a mosaic of biodiversity, sub-Saharan savanna, acacia bushland, encased by 2 deserts. Home to wildlife and wilderness abundant, yet ever at risk. This is Namibia, home to some of the most noteworthy conservation success stories across the globe. Initiatives forged, manned, and driven by passionate individuals and groups.
People are busy there walking for more than 45 kilometers a day.
Special species and wild locations under constant threat from an increasingly destructive developing world.
One of the world's true survivors.
This is the story of the Namibian wilderness, the stories of the enigmatic wildlife and natural wonders of her realm.
They are not a threat to anyone, if you understand them.
This is the story of those determined to preserve it, and thereby themselves.
Don't think I want to tell my children one day that we had rhinos in Namibia. I want to show them live rhinos.
This is the story of the last defenders.
We have been tracking them for about 7 days, and on the 7th day, we come across the butchers, and there was a shooting. We are not armed. We having a camera and GPS. We are just hiding behind the bushes. If I don't protect this species, who's going to do that? So is that why I sacrificed my life to go on conserve the rhinos.
Armed out in the field with basically a notebook against poachers that are armed with highly dangerous weapons and more. How is this an equal fight?
I started right on the ground as a tracker, and I worked all the way up to be the CEO now, and I know how hard it is. It's commitment and dedication and the patience that you have for the animal. It's really hard. It's like you had something in your house that you are protecting for so long, and when you go away from home, somebody comes and kills you.
Hi, welcome to the program. I'm Debula.
So let's get on the road with this. Having someone who likes what you like can be great. It gives you something to chat about and share with each other, yeah? But what if you both want to be at the very top of what you're doing and your main rival is your brother? Can you imagine?
Mount Nyiragongo, located in the Democratic Republic of Congo, is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. It's found in the Virunga Mountains and located 6 miles from Goma. So what caused Mount Nyiragongo to erupt?
This is Women in African Music virtual exhibition. It was created by the British-Nigerian documentary photographer Michael Tubes.
Women in African Music exhibition is about celebrating women behind the scene and women performing on the stage.
Humanitarian crises are all too familiar to television viewers. Civil wars that cause huge movements of refugees, worldwide pandemics, and natural disasters like earthquakes and tsunamis. This is the way most of us are used to seeing these heart-wrenching events, on a screen in front of us, watching passively. But what if you could step into the frame and actually feel what it's like for the individuals on the ground?
People come out of it feeling enlightened and often moved and often ready to take action. A lot of people automatically say, well, what can I do? How can I get involved?
Garbo Aurora is leading a team at the United Nations who are using cutting-edge technology to raise awareness, empathy and funds, both to respond to humanitarian crises and to bolster support for a new set of sustainable development goals around the globe.
Virtual reality is the ability to really take part in a story that usually you're only a passive spectator on. And you actually get the sensation of feeling like you're being there.
By using multiple cameras that can record in all directions and software that can stitch the images together, virtual reality creates an experience that enables the viewer to see a movie from every angle, above, below, and behind.
It's exciting for the UN, to be involved in some of those early experiments of how we're trying to tell stories, make these films, and work with some of the most cutting-edge people in the industry on it.
So the UN reached out to us and connected, and we realized that there was a great opportunity here to tell some very important stories and to tell them in a way that we thought would be totally new and highly impactful. The way that I define virtual reality at this point in time is basically the hacking of your senses to convince you that you're somewhere other than where you are. Often, I think of it as a sense of vulnerability. So one of the things we've realized in some of our stories is you have a heightened sense of empathy and a heightened sense of connection as a result of that vulnerability.
That heightened sense of connection and empathy was exactly what Garbo Aurora was looking to create at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Not only to inspire leaders to take action, but also to influence donors to increase funding for disaster response efforts.
I'd started experimenting with using innovative ways of advocacy, and I started talking to a lot of different partners and people. What could we do that would be incredible? And someone said, I just came from a meeting at Samsung, and, with some of these other virtual reality headsets, wouldn't it be amazing if you got all of those elite people who could actually go to a refugee camp, or they could go to an Ebola clinic? I just really felt it would get our issues highlighted.
In addition to the screenings at Davos, virtual reality portals have been set up to view the films at high-level political forums around the world. The virtual reality film on display was Clouds Over Sidra.
Clouds Over Sidra is a short film in virtual reality about a girl named Sidra who lives in Zaatari camp, which is a Syrian refugee camp in Jordan. And it is a story about a young girl who is giving you a tour of the camp, of what it's like, what her life is like. When the film debuted in Davos, it was a sensation to everyone we showed it to. They come out of it very deeply moved. I'd say half the people who watch Clouds Over Sidra cry. And then we cut a version for UNICEF, where it's face-to-face fundraisers. The way they do that is usually someone with a clipboard on the street in Europe or in different countries. So they thought, well, what if we got people to experience virtual reality on the street?
Quite sad. They don't have a good environment to stay. We try our best to help them.
Early reporting from UNICEF has shown that when using virtual reality, they've doubled the effectiveness of their fundraising efforts. This report was produced by Ben Lybrand for the United Nations.
Nothing is too good for my daughter. Now here's the deal, Nambi. There's no playing around with other boys before your wedding. Do you understand me? It's the most important day of your life.
Nambi, baby, you have a face like a beautiful person. I got you this Virgin Mary necklace to protect your innocence.
Stupid man. We have loved each other since high school, and now you want to turn your back on me? All the plans we made, you just throw them away? And you want Nambi now? When I've always been there for you, Ziwa, do you understand? And she doesn't even love you. I wasted my time on someone like you.
Don't be like that, Jalia.
Love, everybody needs it. Love.
COVID-19 affects people very differently. Many people show no symptoms at all, but some are hospitalized for weeks. So what does the disease do to your body? The coronavirus enters through the mouth, nose or eyes. It then usually attaches itself to cells lining the nose, throat, airways or lungs. It can turn these cells into factories that multiply and spread the virus. For the majority, a fever, cough and breathlessness are as bad as it gets. But the virus can damage the small blood vessels lining the lungs and initiate clotting. The alveoli are tiny air sacs where oxygen goes into the blood. If they become inflamed, it can trigger pneumonia. Seriously ill patients need to be given oxygen as the lungs fill with fluid and debris.
I legit couldn't breathe. My oxygen meter was measuring under 88% oxygen levels, which is very dangerous. And the only time I ever thought my life was in danger was at that point.
COVID-19 doesn't just affect the lungs. It can also disrupt the immune system, which is used by the body to fight illnesses. Cytokines are part of the immune system that find and signal infections. For some people with severe COVID-19, this system can go into overdrive. If too many cytokines build up, it can cause an overreaction that damages healthy cells. This is called a cytokine storm for the most severe cases. COVID-19 can lead to seizures or even a coma. It can also cause brain problems that lead to strokes. The immune system overreacting can cause clots that stop the blood supply to parts of the brain. Brain inflammation,